Good afternoon, everyone. I, Dr. Renu Chaudhary, on behalf of School of Basic and Applied Sciences, GD Goenka University, welcome you to the second session of Student Development Program series. Today we have Dr. Parveen Kumar with us. Dr. Parveen Kumar is an assistant professor of environmental science in the School of Basic and Applied Sciences at GD Goenka University. He holds Ph.D. from Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee. Prior to his current designation, Dr. Parveen Kumar served in academic positions such as Program Coordinator of MSc Environmental Science at Amity University, Haryana. His research interests include water pollution prevention and constructed wetlands for wastewater purification, waste management, etc. Now I request Dr. Parveen Kumar to start the session. Welcome to the session, sir. You may start.
Uh, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. Thank you very much, madam, for nice introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Uh, Let me start the presentation.
So sorry to interrupt you, but before that, it's a request to everyone to please keep their microphones mute and to keep their video mode off for the smooth functioning.
Are you able to see the presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, please
Yes, sir.
make it
Yes.
full screen.
Yes.
Now it is
So
fine, sir.
I I welcome all the attendees in the second session of an online student development program on climate change, human perspective, and sustainability, being organized by School of Basic and Applied Sciences, GD Goenka University. Uh, Professor Thakur, Dean, School of Basic and Applied Sciences, he will also join us shortly. He is the moderator for this session. This is the plan of my talk. Uh, I am going to talk on climate, different perspectives of climate, why it is important to us, climate system, its functioning, what is the meaning of climate change, what are its causes, natural, human activities, what harmful effects it is producing on human health, environment, and in the end, building climate resilience. Uh, what is the climate response of India to fight climate change, and what is the sustainable path forward for us in this era of climate change to combat risk of climate change. And in the end, I will take you through a quick tour of GD Goenka University as well. So first of all, we need to understand meaning of weather and climate. Sometimes people uh, do not able to differentiate between them. Weather is the day-to-day conditions of the atmosphere. It is ever changing. It may change from a minute to hour to day. It may remain there for a few days. For example, rainy season. Today may be rain, next day may be sunshine, or any storm may come. It is weather. Whatever you are able to see outside of the window of your house, that is the weather of that particular day or time. While climate is a long-term feature of the state of atmosphere, long-term means we consider at least a period of 30 years to assess climate of a place. We also define climate as statistical average of weather conditions of a place. So we collect weather data daily basis, monthly basis, annual basis. So you can take average of this data and you can come to know about the climate of the place. You can see here in the graph, average temperature of past 30 years of a place is shown. So from here you can come to know what is the minimum maximum temperature or average temperature of the place, and it can give you an idea of the climate of that place. Why climate is important to us? Climate is a very important physical factor of our environment, affecting not only it has been important in case of evolution of Earth and its different ecosystems, but also it affect human health, human development, and human habits as well. If we talk about our daily life, like food production in the agricultural sector, energy production and consumption, demand of energy, availability of water at different places, and also diversity in our environment of living organisms. Everything is climate controlled. So it is a very important factor. If in agricultural sector, climate is a very important factor because it control all phases of plant growth. Okay, starting from the sowing of the seeds to the harvesting, it is very important. Climatic factors can severely affect the crop production. Okay, so exact prediction of the future climate is weather is very important in this regard. Uh, the presence of different pests and disease which can affect crops as well as human health. It is also dependent on different weather conditions, like what is the level of humidity, temperature, or precipitation. These factors they control their growth, and then to how much people they can affect. Incidences of flooding and storms, they show us how important the climate and weather can be for us in our daily lives, because it affects huge large number of people and also other animals. In case of any construction project, for example, if you do not consider the climatic conditions of the place, what type of climate is there? Is it more rainy, flooding, or any other issues? If you do not consider it, it may lead to very costly project, as well as there may arise severe human safety issues even after the project is complete. So it is a very important factor to study uh, with respect to our day-to-day life and long-term survival on Earth. Climate is a system actually. It is not a single word. There are five components of climate. You can see here, atmosphere is one of the component which is made up of different gases. Then you have the hydrosphere, which is water present in oceans, river, streams, lakes, etc. Water present in the atmosphere is a part of atmosphere. Okay. So third component is the land surface, that is lithosphere, which is made up of rocks and soil. Fourth component is the ice covered surface of Earth. It may be land surface or ocean surface. You can see here the mountain tops covered with the glaciers, and as well as the ice sheets present on the north and south pole. It is cryosphere. And fifth component is biosphere, living organisms. All of these are interconnected with one another. If we disturb any one of them, the impacts are observed on the entire climate system, and many after effects are observed. We can take a simple example. Human Humans can change the composition of atmosphere by burning fossil fuels, by emitting greenhouse gases, as well as they can change the characteristics of the ground when they do the land, they change the land use, like they deforest the land. So both of these things they can alter the energy balance of the climate system. Ultimate source of energy in the climate system is solar radiation. Okay, so solar radiation is the outer factor. There may also be some changes we will discuss later, but all other are the internal changes which can affect the climate system. So due to change in composition of atmosphere, greenhouse gases they cause global warming. This global warming is causing melting of ice, that is reducing cryosphere, and then that melt water is going into the oceans to increase the sea level, and this sea level is submerging the coastal areas, so affecting lithosphere. And in the coastal areas, many people they are facing risk of shifting to other places, resettlement, rehabilitation. So you can see how all the spheres they have been affected due to this disturbance. So now let me play a small video for you to understand the functioning of the climate system, how it works.
The Earth's climate system is driven by two things: the way energy from the sun moves in and out of the atmosphere, and the way heat moves around the atmosphere and the oceans. Energy from the sun is the main driver for our climate system. When the energy from the sun reaches the atmosphere, some is absorbed and some is reflected, mainly from clouds. Most of the remaining energy heats the Earth's surface, although again a tiny fraction is reflected. The Earth's surface then loses its heat again through rising air currents, radiation, and the evaporation of water. Some of this heat passes straight through the atmosphere and back to space, but some is absorbed by greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, water vapor, methane, and ozone. Most of the air, nitrogen and oxygen, doesn't do this. The atmosphere re-emits the absorbed heat. Some escapes to space, but some heats the Earth's surface again. Eventually, all the heat escapes into space, but not before the temperature of the Earth has been raised enough to allow us to survive. If the greenhouse gases didn't absorb and re-emit heat, we wouldn't be able to live on Earth. If nothing else happened in the Earth's climate system, weather and climate wouldn't change across the globe. However, the sun's energy is distributed unevenly across the globe. Because the Earth tilts, the sun's intensity changes at different latitudes and in different seasons. Generally, there is more heat near the equator than there is at the poles. In this example, the variation is shown during the northern hemisphere winter. To balance this inequality, the climate system moves heat from the equator to the poles through the atmosphere and the oceans. In the tropics, near the equator, thunderclouds develop, forcing warm air to rise and then drift towards the poles at high levels. Cooler air flows in the opposite direction at the Earth's surface, setting up cells. Similar cells develop in other areas as you move towards the poles. At the boundaries between these cells, air is either rising from the Earth's surface or falling down towards it. Where the air is rising, you will get low pressure, often with rain or snow. Where it's coming down, you will get high pressure and fine weather. That's how heat is moved around the atmosphere. Now let's see how it moves around the oceans. Changes in sea temperatures and saltiness create ocean currents. For example, the Gulf Stream is one of the strongest currents in the world. Surface water in the North Atlantic is cooled by winds from the Arctic. Cold, dense, salty water sinks and travels towards the equator deep in the ocean. In turn, the Gulf Stream moves warm water from the Gulf of Mexico northeastwards at the surface to replace it. This brings warmth to northwest Europe, making the climate milder than any other place at the same latitude. It is these interactions between the sun's energy and how the atmosphere and the oceans move heat around the Earth which produce different climates in different parts of the world and set up variations in our day-to-day weather.
So with this video you have seen the functioning of climate system, how atmosphere and hydrosphere they are working uh, in the climate system. So moving further, what is the meaning of climate change and is it real? This question may be arising in your mind. Climate change is an identifiable change in the climate that persists for typically decades or longer period. There are many symptoms of climate change in the present time. Is climate changing in the present time only? No. Earth's climate has changed throughout history naturally as well. That climate change uh, occurs throughout on long geological time scales that do not occur suddenly. So we will discuss these causes. The current climate change is particularly significant due to human activities since mid 20th century. and is proceeding at a rate that is unprecedented. It is occurring at a very fast rate due to significant increase in the concentration of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. In this diagram, you can see we are facing different problems nowadays. Glaciers, they are reducing in their size, and global temperature has also increased. Sea ice, it is declining in the area, and there are different other problems we are facing. In the industrial area during past 100 years, CO2 concentration has increased by 35%. Average Earth's temperature has increased by 1 degree centigrade. Our oceans are becoming warmer. This warming has occurred at a rate of 0.13 degrees centigrade per decade. Sea level has risen by 18 centimeter during the last century, and it is predicted to rise by 1 meter in the next century. And extreme events like the extreme rains, unusual rains, cyclones, hurricanes. You have seen the hurricane Amphan recently. They are becoming very common and very severe, affecting large number of people and also causing loss to the economy. Our oceans, they are becoming acidic. There has been observed 30% increase in ocean acidity during the last century after industrial revolution. How it occurs? Excess of carbon dioxide from atmosphere, it gets dissolved in the ocean waters to form carbonic acid, and it can lead to the change in the pH of the ocean waters, which is detrimental to the life of aquatic organisms and can affect aquatic food chains. Moving further, these are the different causes of climate change, natural and anthropogenic. We will discuss first the natural causes. Changes in the solar radiation. Sun is the ultimate source of energy on Earth. It follows a 11-year cycle of small ups and downs in its intensity, and it may have a minimal impact on the climate, that is only 0.1 degree. During maxima, it can result into the warming, and during cooling phase, it can result to the slightly cooling. So, but it is not a much significant effect. Uh, Earth's orbit and its tilt, there occur variability in it over long geological time scale. This is known as Milankovitch cycles. So these variations can cause up to 25% variation in the amount of solar radiation received at mid latitudes. What are these and how they affect it? The first one is eccentricity. It means the shape of Earth's orbit around the Sun. It is elliptical, but it may become perfect circle also. So it may vary between perfect circle and elliptical. Why it occur? Due to the gravity pull of Jupiter and Saturn. And what it cause? It result in the change in the distance between Earth and Sun. So in this way, it can have impact on the climate system. It take a time of 41,000 years. Sorry, 1 lakh years for this cycle to occur, eccentricity. And second is obliquity. It means angle Earth's axis is tilted with respect to Earth's orbital plane. It is 23.5 degree, but it may change between 22.1 degree to 24.5 degree. Why this change? So this tilt is responsible for the seasons to occur on Earth. If tilt is larger, it means more radiation is received in both hemispheres, and it lead to the deglaciation. So glaciation, deglaciation, it can be affected by it. It may require a time scale of 41,000 years. Third type of motion is axial precession. It means the uh, wobbling of the Earth on its axis. As Earth rotates, it wobbles slightly upon its axis due to gravity pull of the Sun and Moon. As we travel in a car and follow a curved path, we can feel a centrifugal force directed outward. Similarly, this force is observed on the equator. and which result into the wobbling type of effect. And it can one turn can require 26,000 years time, and it can also have some impacts on the climate. Third factor is plate tectonics. Earth's outermost layer, known as crust, it is made up of different plates, and these plates are in continuous motion with respect to each other. Either they are moving towards each other or away from each other, and in this way they are creating new lithosphere or mountain chains, etc. At one time in the past, 225 million years ago, entire landmass was connected together, and it was known as Pangea. It broken, and then due to the plate tectonic movements, we are now having the present position of our continents. There are evidences to support this theory. There have been found glacial deposits at the equator. Glacial deposits, they are formed at the cold conditions which exist on the poles. So this support the movement of the continents. Similarly, fossil palm trees have been found in the Greenland. Okay, these type of vegetation, it cannot exist as per the climate of the Greenland. So it has also caused changes in the climate on the earth at different places. Yes, volcanic activity also can have impact on the climate, because volcanoes emit different gases as well as particles. These particles, they may reflect as well as they can absorb the radiation and can cause impact on the climate. El-Nino Southern Oscillation. This is a very interesting weather phenomena which occur in the equatorial Pacific Ocean. It is characterized by a cycle of warm and cold sea surface temperature in the central and eastern Pacific Ocean. In the top diagram, you can see the normal conditions. On the left side, you have the Australia, Southeast Asia. On the right side, you have the North and South America. So under normal conditions, you are seeing the cloud formation over the Australia and rainfall. And on the right side, there is the no such situation. In the lower side, when El Nino event has developed, you can see the direction of the trade winds, it has changed. It is moving now from the west to the east direction, and you are seeing the formation of clouds on the eastern side of the Pacific Ocean. So under El Nino year, what happens? The western side, the Australia, Indonesia, this side, and India is also in this side. There is received less rains, dry conditions, forest fires, and on the right side, unusual rains, flooding, it occurs. So this El Nino, it affects weather patterns in different parts of the world. Somewhere it may lead to the flooding, somewhere it may lead to the drought situation. So it is also having some impact on the climate. Changes in greenhouse effect. This is about the human disturbance in the climate system. What is greenhouse effect? We use this effect in our farming to grow crops, particularly in the colder climates. The glass of the greenhouse is transparent to the incoming solar radiation. So solar radiation can enter into the glass and it heat up the interiors, and that heat cannot move out because glass is not transparent to it. So inside the glass house, sufficient temperature can be made to support plant growth. Similarly, in the Earth's atmosphere, there are present some greenhouse gases. For example, carbon dioxide, water vapor, methane, nitrous oxide, etc. And these gases also, they have a unique property to absorb the outgoing heat energy from the Earth, and then they re-radiate this energy towards the Earth to heat up the Earth atmosphere system, as you have seen in that video. So this is important for supporting life on Earth. But due to human activities, we have increased concentration of these gases significantly in the atmosphere, which is causing more heat trapping, more warming, and changing our climate. In this slide, you can see the contribution of different sectors in the emission of greenhouse gases. Power sector, electricity and heat, it is contributing 25%. Then agricultural sector is the second emitter, also involving animal husbandry operations, which are the biggest emitter of methane. Then industrial sector, transportation 14%, food waste 6.7%. Also our buildings, the new cities they are coming buildings, they also emit they contribute to the greenhouse gas emissions. And so carbon dioxide is the biggest contributor to the global warming, followed by methane, nitrous oxide, and chlorofluorocarbons. And if we talk about the global warming causing potential of these gases, we find it based on the carbon dioxide. We consider global warming potential of carbon dioxide as 1, and we calculate it for others as compared to carbon dioxide. So you can see a single molecule of methane can produce 25 times more global warming as compared to carbon dioxide, while the chlorofluorocarbons they can cause 10,000 times more global warming as compared to carbon dioxide. So you can see here how much effect they can produce. Here you can see the concentration variation of carbon dioxide during the 6,50,000 years. During this time, it has never crossed this line you can see in the graph. Uh, in the except the present time, when its concentration has reached to around 390 ppm. Okay, if you see the past 100 years, there in the pre-industrial era, it was around 280 ppm, and now it is around 390 ppm. So there has been significant increase in the concentration of carbon dioxide. One reason is burning of fossil fuel, another is reduction in green cover. You have removed the sink of carbon dioxide. We also changed the albedo of the earth by different activities. Albedo means the amount of solar radiation which is reflected from a surface. Light colored surface, they have more albedo, like the clouds, ice, snow cover, while dark colored surfaces they absorb radiation and they have less radiation, less albedo. Earth's albedo is 30%, means 30% radiation is reflected mostly by clouds, and remaining 70% is absorbed by the earth atmosphere system to warm it. So if you change the land use, like you deforest the land, okay, or you emit the pollutants having aerosols which can either absorb the heat energy or reflect the solar radiation. Okay, so these changes can affect the energy balance of the earth. In the right side diagram, you can see the albedo of the uh, surface covered with snow is maximum 90% radiation may be reflected, as compared to the uh, forests whose albedo may be 20%. So if due to global warming your snow cover gets reduced due to melting of glaciers, ice caps, more surface will be exposed to solar radiation to absorb it. Okay, so more energy will be absorbed in the earth system, and it will produce more global warming. More global warming will further lead to more melting of glaciers, and so it will lead to the positive feedback in the climate system. Okay, so there may be negative feedback also. If you increase the green cover, it can revert the effect. Plants, they absorb radiation, and by the process of transpiration, when they lose water, it results in the cooling effect. So this is also very important parameter affecting the. These are the potential impacts of climate change uh, on the different components of our environment. If we talk about the forest resources, composition of the forest, what type of plants are present there, and their distribution as well as health and productivity can be severely affected by the climate change. The incidences of wildfires, they are becoming more common. We have seen huge wildfires in the Amazon river, Amazon, in Australia, and they may be natural as well as they may be human induced. So global warming is causing more dry biomass, higher temperatures. So natural forest fires may also ignite and can result into the damage to the forest. In coastal areas, erosion is a severe problem. Coastal area which are low, they are facing risk of submergence under rising sea level. And the people who are residing in these areas, they then need to be shifted to other areas. So their rehabilitation is a serious issue. In agricultural sector, crop yield can be affected significantly. As stated earlier, climate is a very important parameter. So extreme climate events, extreme rains, extreme cyclones, they can severely affect our agricultural sector, as well as water availability is very important in our agricultural sector. El-Nino can make our monsoon weak, so we may receive less rains, which can affect our agricultural sector significantly. So rainfall pattern can change, and water quality can also be affected due to flooding. Fresh water may get contaminated. Natural ecosystems, they may suffer biodiversity loss. With respect to human health also, there may be serious concerns related to air quality related problems and spread of many infectious diseases. In this slide, you can see the different impacts of climate change. Uh, Death of near more than 110 people occurred within 2-3 days in UP Bihar during recent monsoon. This is unusual. This is uncommon news for me. I have not seen such news earlier that within 1 or 2 days so many people killed by lightning only. Okay, in Kedarnath floods, Assam floods right now we are facing, cyclone Amphan, which has resulted in huge damage, drought incidences, COVID-19. This type of infectious disease also you can relate with the climate change. So climate change, how it can result into the spread of infectious diseases like COVID-19, it can change the habitat of the wild animals. So in search of food, they may reach to the human settlements, or humans, they can kill the wild animals as source of food. So in this way, they increase their exposure to the pathogens which are present in those wild animals. Okay, so such type of transmission can then easily occur. Vector-borne diseases like malaria, dengue, they can spread more due to more warming temperatures. These insects, they may find more suitable conditions for their growth, and they can affect large area on the earth. They can spread from tropical area towards the temperate areas. Waterborne diseases may occur due to excess rain, which can contaminate the water resources, and it can lead to loss of life at large scale. So let me again play a very short video, 2 minutes, for our better understanding regarding health impacts of the climate change.
People probably know that scientists have been studying climate change for years and looking at how a changing climate affects global temperatures and sea level rise, and that's important. But I think that most people don't know that there's hundreds of studies now connecting the dots between climate change and human health, and that's a big concern. Climate change is fueling more frequent and more intense and longer lasting heat waves, and that heat is not just an inconvenience to people, it kills people. Some of the people who are most vulnerable to that extreme heat include children and older adults and households that are economically disadvantaged. And that's not just a few people, that amounts to many millions of people in the US. Another concern is air pollution. The warmer temperatures are, the higher the concentration of some really important air pollutants. Breathing ground level ozone smog can irritate your eyes and your throat and really damage your lungs and airways. There are other kinds of air pollutants that are also affected by climate change. Take the kind of pollens that can make allergy symptoms much, much worse, or even trigger an asthma attack. The longer our warm weather seasons, the more pollen is produced in the air. So it's like a double whammy for health: ozone, smog, and pollen. There's another way, a third way that climate change is affecting people's health, and that's insects and the illnesses that they can carry, like dengue fever, like West Nile virus, like Zika virus that are carried by mosquitoes, and Lyme disease that's carried by certain kinds of ticks. The thing is, people don't
think often about how much those illnesses caused by climate change cost, and not just in human suffering and pain and illness, but in dollars and cents. It's big dollars. NRDC looked at just 6 of those kind of events that have occurred very recently: a wildfire episode, a hurricane season, a flooding episode, a West Nile virus outbreak, an air pollution episode, a heat wave, and found that it cost over $14 billion just to people's health. Those are costs that we don't think about, and we need to. I guess my hope as a scientist who studies climate change and health is not that people will get super bummed out listening to all of these effects, but that they'll be energized and demand preparedness and demand cleaner energy and demand building healthier and more secure communities for their children's future.
So this PPT this video may have uh, mentioned clearly how severe climate impacts may be on human health. Moving further, so what is the solution? There are two approaches: mitigation, reduction in the emission of greenhouse gases, or adaptation. So both we need to follow together actually, because if you go for mitigation, reduce their emission of greenhouse gases, even after that the climate system will keep on changing because of the already high level of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. So we need to also adapt as for the climate changes. So in mitigation we can go for sustainable green transportation, or public transportation, clean energy, solar, wind, biomass driven energy. We can also think about the energy efficiency, energy efficient appliances. And with respect to adaptation, like it is said that incidences of natural disasters will increase. So we need to strengthen our disaster management, uh, infrastructure as well, insurance in disaster management. In different sectors we need to work, infrastructure development. We need to increase green cover. We need to make people educated. We need to give them training, awareness. Water conservation also very important, because water availability may become a problem in many parts due to changing climate. So this is the Indian roadmap as per the Indian government. These are the goals for fighting climate change. It is to support healthy and sustainable way of living, climate friendly and cleaner development, creating more green cover for carbon sink, adapt to climate change by investment in different vulnerable sectors, and generating funds for mitigation and adaptation measures, and building framework for easy climate technology absorption and collaborative research at international level. And in this slide you can see that India is the third largest emitter of greenhouse gases, and it is due to mainly the coal use for energy, and also by the use of oil. But we are strengthening our energy generation in the area of renewable energy, particularly solar, and we please for 33 to 35 percent reduction in our greenhouse gas emissions by the year 2030 as compared to the 2005 levels. There are different national action plans in India on climate change, like National Solar Mission, Water Mission, Green India Mission, Sustainable Agriculture, etc. So what is the solution? If we think about controlling climate change at individual level, what we can do? Climate change is a proven fact. By adopting small sustainable actions, we can slow down global warming. 6 simple things you can do to fight climate change: reduce emissions of greenhouse gases. You can go for bicycling, public transport. Use of train is more sustainable as compared to airplanes. Save energy. Go for energy efficient appliances. So this you can go for, and many steps you can take. Follow 3R of sustainability: reduce, reuse, and recycle your waste. It reduce environmental pollution, it save resource, and it can also generate money for you. Eat low carbon diet. uh, Eating meat produce more emission of greenhouse gases, so you can reduce your meat consumption to contribute. Eat local and seasonal foods. it can reduce the transportation cost of the food materials. Act against forest loss. At least you can plant a tree in your lifetime. It can absorb up to a ton of carbon dioxide throughout its life. It is a very significant contribution which can also make you happy. Make demands from government for renewable energy, green products, sustainable transport, etc. And finally, what I can say, think globally and act locally. Your actions are very important to fight against the climate change. Okay, if you get excited by these topics about concerned about the environment, you can study in these courses in this area, in geology, environmental science, forestry, wildlife. These are the different courses GD Goenka University is offering at undergraduate level, postgraduate level, diploma also we are offering many diploma, and PhD also we offer. Why study at GD Goenka? We have a industry tailored course curriculum to make our students job ready. We give them extensive laboratory exposure as well as exposure to the field studies, which is very important part when we think about geological and environmental studies. Also computer soft skills, they are there for overall development. They are also having opportunities to work in eminent institutions for summer internship research projects, and we always promote our students to participate in international conferences, seminars, workshops. You can see here lush green campus of JD Goenka University, and JD Goenka has got a number of awards and rankings in academic and research sector. This is a very important slide. There is also a scholarship for students who have secured good marks as well as who are economically backward. And we have many academic collaborations in foreign universities as well, where our students can work for a semester or they can do their research internship. These are the different schools at GD Goenka University. We are a part of the School of Basic and Applied Sciences, and Professor Ram Krishna Thakur, he is the eminent person, a physicist from profession, and he is a leader who is always there to support and motivate students on the path of active learning. And faculties at SoBAS, they come from different eminent institutions and universities, and they have good research experience and contributing a lot in the cutting edge research in different areas of applied sciences. These are the faculty of Department of Physics. Professor Thakur also belongs to the physics background, and Dr. Sasikant Gupta is the HOD. Then we have Dr. Sunita Negi, Anandita Roy Chaudhary, Dr. Renu, Ms. Jagrati Gupta, GABA. These are their research areas. And here you can see faculties of Department of Chemistry and Environmental Science. Dr. Priyanka Sharma is the faculty in charge, and these are their research interests. Department of Mathematics, Dr. Naresh Sharma is the faculty in charge. These are the research areas of the faculties: neural network, MATLAB, computation and modeling, etc. The Department of Biological Sciences, Dr. Priyanka Tyagi is faculty in charge, and they are working in different areas of current significance: environmental biotechnology, aquatic ecology, cancer therapy, etc. Department of Forensic Sciences, Dr. Niharika Srivastav is the faculty in charge. These are their research areas: forensic toxicology, wildlife forensics, etc. We are also having funded research projects from different eminent institutions of India. We have more than 30 PhD scholars, and we have world-class infrastructure. And these are the various undergraduate programs which we offer at School of Basic and Applied Sciences in chemistry, physics, mathematics, forensic science, microbiology, biochemistry, biotechnology, and also BSc Pass courses in physics, chemistry, mathematics, geology, computer science. And these are the master's program: MSc Chemistry, Physics, Mathematics, Forensic Science, Microbiology, Geology, Wildlife, Forestry, Biophysics, MSc Environmental Science and Management, and also PhD program we offer. And these are the market oriented, job oriented diploma programs which make ensure good job opportunity to the students. And this is a very important slide which we follow as part of best practice. For any problem of a student, there is a faculty mentor to resolve it. Otherwise, if it is not resolved at that level, then there is HOD and dean to get it resolved. So we provide a good healthy environment to the student for overall development. And we have sim login software to handle all the academic affairs of the students, attendance, etc. And we give students different opportunities for like educational trips to different industries, laboratories, field visits, participation in conferences, faculty development programs, student development programs, workshops, symposium. We organize distinguished lectures, expert talk for our students, and also training sessions. You can see here Professor P.V. Sharma, who gave distinguished talk, and also you can see the scientist from NASA, Dr. Kumar, who also gave distinct talk. And then these are other distinguished talks from Dr. D.K. Aswal, Director NPL, and then Professor Ram Kumar from Central University of South Bihar, and Dr. N.B. Bardhan, Director CBI. So we invite eminent persons to give talk, to interact with our students, to motivate them in their fields. So student-centric activities are also organized. You can see here the Darwin's birthday was celebrated by the students. And this is the visit to different institutions: National Physical Laboratory, IIT Delhi, and in Inter University Accelerator Center Delhi. Visit to AIMS and Anvekshana Festival. This is very important slide and very important part of the study of environment and geology, forestry and wildlife courses. Field study is a very important part. We organize field studies with experts for our students. So we have organized many international conferences also: World Environment Summit, national and national online conference, even during lockdown, where 1,000 people participated. International conference on sustainable cities and communities. In this sustainability conference, our Dean Sir, Professor R.K. Thakur, received a Green Tech Asia Award. We have many outreach programs. We connect with the nearby schools and conduct sessions for their career counseling and guidance. And this is the DST camp organized at GD Goenka University, where 125 students participated from different schools from Delhi NCR. These are the different organizations where our students get placed, and these are the students from the last batch who got placed. And if you are interested further, please visit our website and Facebook page and Instagram page to remain in contact. Thank you very much.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Sir, could you please send the PPT on the chat box, sir? That, that you have taught today on the webinar.
First,
Mr.
first
Mr.
slide.
Shashank.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you will get this PPT on our school website after a few days.
Okay, ma'am. Send your school website on the chat box so that I would save it.
We are recording the session. We will share the recordings of the session with you also. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Please keep visiting our website. You will get the recordings over there.
Sir, please share the website on the chat box.
Okay. We will share. Don't worry.
Thank you so much, Parveen sir, for such a nice session on climate change.
Thank you, madam.
I hope this session would be helpful to the participants to understand the concept of climate change, difference between climate and weather, and other related areas. Now we have some questions. First question is, from Miss Anisha Angel. Is there any technology to prevent soil pollution?
Yes, there are uh, various technologies. Actually, the best practice is to stop pollution at its source. That is the best practice. If you manage your waste properly, you do not dump it openly on the soil, then you can prevent it at its source itself. Otherwise, afterwards, it will require huge effort, okay, to clean that polluted soil.
Miss Anisha,
Is it okay?
is it okay? I think she is not here. Okay, sir. We can have the next question from Ankit Sen. He is asking
Ma'am,
that,
one more question is here.
yes, yes,
Ma'am,
Sushanta.
how soil pollution is affecting the river areas? Please have a brief overview on this.
Yes, this is very important question you have asked. Actually, we are using different chemicals in the modern farming, uh, fertilizers, pesticides, and we are using excess amount of these chemicals. Excess amount is contaminating our soil, and when there is there is rainfall, excess amount of these chemicals along with the surface runoff, they are reaching to our rivers, and they are causing pollution of the river and eutrophication of the river, which is affecting the food chain in the rivers and creating problems.
How this can be managed, sir?
Best practice is to go for organic farming. At least it can help to reduce your use of these chemical fertilizers.
Sir,
Initially,
but
organic farming.
it may be costly, sir. But it may be costly for organic farming.
So a part of your fertilizer need you can meet using organic farming, and when you have a healthy soil, it will support healthy plants, and they will require, I think, less application of pesticides also because they will be more healthy, more resistant to the pest.
Okay,
So
Sushant, we are learning this. We are running out of time. If you have more question, you can reach Dr. Praveen Kumar on his email ID. Dr. Kumar, please type your email ID in the chat box so that people can reach to you. Okay.
sure, sure,
Okay. Yeah.
Sir, please type your also contact them so that if
sure,
you
sure, sure,
can't see the mail,
Sure.
then we could call you and ask
Sure.
some
Sure.
extra
And
questions.
it's
sure,
a
sure.
request to everyone to write their questions in the chat box.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir. We have a question from Ankit Sen. Praveen, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, Mr. Ankit Sen is asking that he didn't understand how the tilt of the earth is causing climate change or affecting the climate.
Actually, tilt of Earth on with respect to its orbital plane is not fixed. It is 23.5 degree, but it is not fixed. During a period of what we say, uh, as per the slide, uh, during that particular cycle, it gets changed from 22.1 to 24.5 degree. Okay, within a time of 41,000 years. Okay, so when there will be a change, like if tilt becomes less, then uh, there will be received less radiation in the north and south pole, north and south hemispheres. If tilt is more means Earth is uh, tilted more towards the sun. Okay, then it will receive more radiation. More radiation lead to the reduction in the size of glaciers or polar ice sheets. And when your tilt is less, it will lead to less radiation received on the Earth. So it will lead to the glaciation, more formation of ice. So in this way, it can affect the climate because cryosphere is very important part of the climate system. If you have more cryosphere area, it will reflect more radiation back into the space. If you have less area, means more land space will be available for absorption of heat energy. More energy will be received by the earth system. So role of energy is very important to cause warming or cooling in the earth system, climate system. Is it okay?
Sir, he is saying that is rotation of the earth will also be different. Then, then rotation of earth will also be different.
Rotation of earth. uh, uh, and connected with the tilt, it is leading to the change in the seasons. Like when we talk about the winter in the northern hemisphere, Earth is nearest to the sun during that time, but it is tilted away from sun. So it is northern hemisphere is receiving less radiation during winter. So both you are right, tilt as well as the rotation of Earth around the sun, both are controlling the weather. Sorry, seasons. Is it okay?
Yes, thank you, sir. Dr. Renu,
Yes,
I
sir.
think we can wind the session. It's
Yes, sir.
getting very late.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you so much, Praveen sir, and thank you so much all for attending this session. And on 30th August, we will have the next session of this series that is related to chemistry.
Sir, please share your mail ID on the chat box. Sir, you haven't shared it right now.
He has
Mr.
shared it,
Sushant,
Sushant. He has shared it. Please see.
yes,
He has shared it already.
yes,
No, sir, it is
Please
has
not
see the
in
chat
the.
box.
already written his
I have shared again.
And sir, your contact number so that we could
Yes,
contact
mobile
you.
number also I have shared.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Mr. Ankit Sen, if you have further questions, you can contact directly to Praveen sir with his email ID or contact or his contact number. Now we are winding up the session. Thank you so much for attending this session. Please don't forget to fill the feedbacks form. After filling the feedback form only, you will get the certificate for this session. Thank you so much for attending this session. Have a nice evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you, sir.